What's going on, YouTube? I'm back, your movie guru, with another review. This time, Bohemian Rhapsody. For those of you who don't know, it's the biopic of Queen, the rock and roll brand, and more specifically, Freddie Mercury. Now, I'll start off by saying that, of course, I know who Queen is, just like a lot of people are aware, but I didn't grow up during that era. I know a lot of their songs. I'm not the biggest Queen fan, and I do like their music. But I didn't grow up during that time period. So just to start, my views are going to be colored from someone who didn't grow up in that time span. I was born in '88, so I was pretty much past the time of Queen. Freddie Mercury died in 1991. So just to start off, that's a little bit of background of how much I knew of Queen beforehand. Now, I will say, after seeing the film, one of the first things I did was go home and check Rotten Tomatoes. And the reason why is this, and it kind of confirmed what I suspected. So Rotten Tomatoes currently has a score of 59%, with most critics giving it an average rating of a 6.1 out of 10. But the audience score, it's 95% with the average rating of 4.7 out of 5. And this is kind of exactly what I expected once I saw the movie. It's almost like I kind of want to give it two reviews. As a critic, I can see why it has the scores that it does. Because looking at the film myself, it did seem very formulaic. The for an original band, this is kind of the story of Queen. It was very generic. This is, if you've seen movies about rock stars before, or these types of films, it'll seem very familiar. You'll be like, okay, I know this story. I know what happens. Certain events happen when you expect them to. Infighting between the band, and without giving too much away, that type of stuff you've seen in movies before, and it's what you've come to expect. So in that way, it was very generic, and I would have liked to see, especially for someone who doesn't, grew up during that time period, and I think even if you did grow up during that time period, you would have liked to see more of behind the scenes of, because you're going to be familiar with Queen, the band. You're going to be familiar with Freddie Mercury, the rock star. What what I would have found more interesting is if they would have shown more of, away from all the glitz and glamour. They give you a hint of it. They give you a taste of it throughout the movie. That Freddie Mercury was definitely more troubled off stage than he was on stage. But I feel like they could have went way more in depth with that. I think they could have gotten. I think they just really kind of scratched the surface with that. Another thing that I would say is that the movie is very heavily centered around Freddie Mercury and his life and his struggles, and I would have liked to see a lot more of when at the start of the film, it seems a little bit rushed where they introduce his character to you, and then he's a rock star. I think it would have been very interesting to see, kind of some of the events that made him the way he was. If one thing the movie will make clear to you, and I think everybody, just knowing the band Queen and knowing Freddie Mercury, just from the on-stage persona that you see, he's definitely a very unique guy. He's not someone that you're going to be seeing, at your local bar singing. He was very unique, very original, and I think it would have been really cool to see, before he was a rock star, if they would show more of what drove him, and maybe what were some of the elements that made him the way he was. So that was, I can see from a critic's perspective exactly why the film has its rating of a 59%. That said, I will say as I'm sitting in the theater, I'm listening to the audience. They're cheering at certain parts. They're laughing. Uh, they're very much involved into this film. It's funny. In the film, there's a line where they go, where they're trying to come out with this new album, and they want to be very experimental, and they say, Queen is anything but formulaic. They don't like formulas. But I find it really funny because the movie does the exact opposite, and it does follow formula. That said, it follows formulas because they work. Hollywood follows formulas because they work. The movie was entertaining. It has a right blend of on-stage time, backstage time, and personal life moments, as well as big audience moments. To keep you interested throughout. And more than anything, I will say the one who plays Freddie Mercury, Rami Malek. For those of you who've never seen him before, he has a show that I'm a big fan of. It's one of my favorite shows, Mr. Robot on USA, and it's actually on Amazon Prime as well. They've got some of the seasons. He does a phenomenal acting job in that series, and he definitely does what I'd come to expect from him from what I've seen on the show in this film as well. I would say, without a doubt, the strongest thing that this film has going for it is Rami Malek. I think, especially if you grew up during that time and maybe you went to a Queen concert or you watched Queen on TV, looking at his portrayal and then, remembering, what you used to see, I think you will be stunned at what a good job he does. So can't say anything more positive about him than like I give him the highest honor for his acting job in that film. But yeah, so I said I could 100% see the audience disconnect. So my rating for you is, if you were a Queen fan, especially if you grew up watching them, you'll like the film. You'll like singing along, during the moments. You'll like reminiscing and going back to that time. If you're coming looking for, an in-depth perspective, maybe finding out some things that you didn't know, or something very original to the band itself, I think you'd be a little bit disappointed. But as a general audience goer, general movie goer, I think you'll love the film. And that's exactly what I saw when I saw the Rotten Tomatoes score. 95% of the audience liked it. And the theater I went to, the audience was cheering. They clapped and cheered at the end of the film. You will like this movie. If, as a general average moviegoer, I definitely say recommend it. Go see it. That's it. My final score for it. I definitely give it a thumbs up. I give it a 7 out of 10. Not original, formulaic, but the formula works. So it's definitely, I say, worth your time to go see. And if you're not a critic, I definitely think that you will really enjoy this film. All right, that's all I have for this film. If you like what you see, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend.